if you saw the movie Mikey or The Good Son, you'll probably like Becky. There is a darkness in her. It's not her fault. She's a girl who had a bad day, and it's just got worse, and she gets pushed to the point where I'm going to mess you up, and the gloves are off, and that's where you go. And then once you cross that line, it's full out war. Welcome everyone to the Pantheon. I am Ray, and today we're looking at Becky, a movie from Hulu, a Hulu exclusive starring Lulu Wilson playing the title role of Becky. It is a home invasion film. It's comparative to a number of films that come to mind, especially in the 1990s. There's a movie called Mikey. The tagline for that was Jason and Freddy were once kids too, and now we have, and then here comes Mikey. So with this falls in the same kind of concept as a movie as I Spit on Your Grave, sleepaway camp of a female anti-hero, if you will, is what Becky represents. It's a gore film in the sense that this is a wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, cute-looking girl, but nothing about her is cute at all. So let's get into the brass taxes of this. So there is some issues that she has to get over. Her father and her are not communicating well. So this is a transitional period of a child, of a 13-year-old who's going through a lot of emotions. Problems in school, bullying, still grieving over her mother's death, the father moving on and now remarrying and having that imposed onto her, and now staying trapped at the lake house, which was something that was sacred to her and her mother and her father, now being imposed with this new lifestyle. So her coming to grips and trying to keep herself together, not to blow her top, is just where we are. And now here comes Kevin James. Oh, sorry, I should mention that Joel McHale plays the father from Community. He's a great comedic actor. Kevin James plays Dominic. He is the leader of a neo-Nazi group, and he plays this. This is probably his first straight dramatic role. And Dominic is not funny whatsoever. He is a very serious and dangerous man. So these escaped convicts escape prison to go to this lake house. They have captured her parents, her father, and Kayla, the girlfriend, and their son, and up to Becky to try and save the day. And they've messed with the wrong girl because she's gone through enough problem as it is. And torturing her father doesn't really help the issue. And then things get extremely worse, and to the point where Becky loses it, and there is, in my opinion, not much of a redeemable factor with Becky. There's nothing about Becky that's that I like. Though physically she's a cute-looking, bright-eyed girl, but the character gets to cross a line, and then once I think you cross that line, there's no turning back. So there's a lot of I won't say moral ambiguity in this film, but there's a lot of stuff in this film that was like, okay, film is taking this narrative, this dramatic tension to a different level, to a dark level, and the potential of where this girl has been pushed. They give you a reason why this girl is pushed to where she is, and how she's getting there, and why she got to where she is. But I think once you cross that line, I don't think there is a redemption. There is no redeeming arc. There's no turning back to once you commit an act with full intent and without any remorse in your actions. You become no different from the animals that which you were come from. It's like a line that's said in John Wick, where once there's rules, once you disobey those rules, you're no different from the animals to which you separate yourself from. And this is what is exemplified in this film with Becky. Lulu Wilson is no slouch either. She is a veteran in the genre of horror, whether it's in Blumhouse's Ouija or the Annabelle movie. She has done a number of films in horror, so getting the comedic timing, but getting the timing of and the nuances of drama and tension, and to portray certain emotions and movements and responses, it's innately she's seasoned to do that performance, and I'm not sure if that's done well. I mean, that's in my opinion can be argued. The film itself is unique. It's done by two directors. It's done by Jonathan Milott. I gotta make sure I gotta spell his name pronounced correctly. It's Jonathan Milott and Carrie Murnion. I hope I spelled that right. They worked together on a bunch of films. A film that I reviewed a few years back called Cooties with Elijah Woods, and it's a kind of an all-star cast. Well, a bunch of actors, television actors, getting together to do this feature-length film. I think went direct-to-video or VOD. It's like a zombie film based on eating a tainted chicken nugget. It's kind of a really cool, comedic, dark satire zombie film. Kind of reminds me of The Faculty a little bit, which is another horror film. And they did a movie called Bushwick with Brittany Snow and Dave Bautista. And this, I'm going to say, is a mix of both Cooties and Bushwick, but it's kind of like a Charles Bronson version of it. But in terms of the vengeance that gets dished out by Becky, but the visceral gore is something of like Sleepaway Camp, like I Spit on Your Grave, like Miss 45, like Mikey, The Good Son. So these are the films that come to mind when I see this movie, and it's a revenge film. There's an Australian movie called Revenge, which is very much like that. The difference is that Becky's not a victim. She is a alpha male predator. She's an apex predator. And these guys are in for a surprise when they face Becky. And it's booby-trapped and weaponizing your environment like a Spit on Your Grave to combat the neo-Nazis. And Kevin James is a vicious man, and he is cold and calculating. So it's a great mashup of characters, and it's interesting where this film goes. For a rating, I'm going to give this film a 3 out of 5. Becky, I thought, is, she is a girl. She is only human, but her rage and what sets her off and where this film ends up going is open-ended. I think it can go any direction you want once you get to the climax of this film. I think I'm interested in seeing if there's a sequel to this movie. I'd be interested in seeing where this goes. I don't know if they'll call it Becky 2. It'd be interesting, but I think Lulu Wilson is playing 13 and playing it so wide-eyed, innocently, in the look, and I don't know if that's just a character or just I'm guessing that's how she looks really, and pulling that off is tremendous. And that's why I'll give this a 3. It's a recommend, but it's not a strong recommend. I think it's made for television or cable, and I don't think it would have done well in theaters, but I think it's interesting because it introduces you to a different concept of thriller, and it's empowerment to women in a negative way because it's an anti-hero story, and in that I will give it 3 out of 5. I don't know how to sell this. If I was told to sell this to anybody, if you saw the movie Mikey or The Good Son, you'll probably like Becky. There is a darkness in her. It's not her fault. She's a girl who had a bad day, and it's just got worse, and she gets pushed to the point where I'm going to mess you up, and the gloves are off, and that's where you go. And once you cross that line, It's full out war, and it is not mandy gory, but it's sort of like 70s, 80s like gore, like low budget gore, but it's still pretty good. And I think there is a niche group of demographic I think who would probably appreciate and like this, but it's not for everybody. And I think you know what, it's and it's not for the faint of heart. So for fans of Lulu Wilson who've seen her work, fans of Kevin James, you'll be surprised of his performance. I think watching him specifically after this movie, if anything else, I can see him do an Oscar-worthy performance after the fact. The fact that he can play a character against type and sell it is the best part of this movie. If this is his stepping stone to do bigger and better things, that yes, I can play a character that is menacing, I could play serious, I could play not charming and goofy, and this Paul Blart character is in the rear mirror. This is the new me. I can play it. I believe he can. I believe he can be a super leading man, a super villain, not in the super sense, but like a person who can play these characters with a great deal of believability, because he's using acting muscles that he's never used before. And I think he's really reaching. And I think he can get into a role that could be Oscar worthy. I honestly do think he has the chops to do astonishing performances in his future, and that is no lie. So with that, I will see you next time. Take care.